Why plot twists? Why plot twists are important? Why do we need to study them? What values do plot twists offer to people? So there are a few things about plot twists that make them useful, make them special. And one of them, the first one, the most pragmatic one, is that currently that's a skill that's very much in demand. It seems that whatever television show, whatever book, whatever movie we watch today, we'll realize that the writers tend to be great masters of plot twists. Plot twists are expected in stories, so it makes sense for us to include plot twists in our storytelling and be masters of plot twists just for being a little bit more competitive with our stories on today's market and getting more contracts, getting more writing gigs, writing assignments, and so on. I try to make my students as competitive as possible, as well prepared for the brutal reality of today's market as possible. So plot twists, I think, is a very good tool to equip my students with. The other thing, the paradox of today's readership and audience versus today's authorship. Scarcity of attention versus abundance of content requires writer empowerment. Today's average person has very little time for reading and for consuming stories. Even though we watch a lot of videos per day, statistics says that an average American, for example, watches approximately 6 hours of videos every day. That's a lot of screen time. That's more than the human brain actually prepared to handle. But most of that screen time is either some YouTube videos or work-related video meetings even. And the rest of it is whatever content is currently available on all those multiple streaming platforms. As for reading, again, an average American reads no more than 15 minutes a day, and every year this daily amount of reading actually, sadly, is slightly reduced. But most of that reading, again, is not reading stories, but reading business emails, office memos, and things like that, probably. The sad truth is that an average American reads fewer than 200 books per lifetime. And even though we watch a lot of movies and TV shows and streaming shows these days, the amount of content available for us, the number of stories that are offered to us today is virtually infinite. Every single movie and every single TV show, every single book that had ever been published, which is over 130 million books available since the dawn of printing press. All of that is essentially our competition. YouTube, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, all of that content is our competition. We are competing for attention against the families of people who potentially could be our readers, because our writing, our storytelling takes away their family time. So we're competing against employees, we're competing for attention, and the attention is scarce. So in order for our stories to become successful, in order for our stories to attract attention initially and then to keep that attention, we need to deliver something absolutely special as storytellers. We need to make something so unique and so emotionally impactful, so powerful, that it will steal attention from all those wonderful storytellers of the past and of today, well-equipped storytellers, great screenwriters, great directors of today who have major studios behind them with all that money, major marketing companies that can spend on marketing a story produced by a studio more per minute that we can spend per lifetime to promote our story. How do we make the difference for our stories? How do we crash through all that informational noise, through all that content available, and suddenly present our story to just the right person and make that story special for that person enough to stay with the story and finish watching or reading our story and then share it with other people? What is our secret? How can we do that? Well, our secret is mastery, and one of the most important things that can give us this kind of power is actually such a simple narrative device as plot twist, because the plot twist makes our stories unpredictable. And if our stories are unpredictable, if our stories are impossible to guess, if our readers, if our audience don't know what will happen next but want to find out, then our stories have this intrigue that will make the audience want to find out what happens next and how it ends, and then they will be so excited, they will experience some kind of emotional roller coaster. They will live through something entirely unpredictable. Our stories will become not just something that they perceive superficially on the screen, but it will become part of their life experience. It will become something that they live through. And the interesting thing about human psychology, about how we deal with experiences, is that we do not like experiencing something on our own. We want it to be shared. So if there was something that became special, that became part of their own lives in our story, then our audience would want to share it with other people, and they will call the friends, or they will make a social media post about our story, and our story will be introduced to a new person who would not have any other way of finding out about story if not through word of mouth. Word of mouth is the most important thing we can do for our stories. In fact, all the marketing companies that are busy promoting books and movies today, most of what they really want to do is create the kind of word of mouth situation for each of the stories, that people start sharing stories with each other, either in person or through social media, because that's the most effective, most powerful way to actually give stories legs, give stories extended life. So we don't have to have a lot of budget in order to achieve the same effect. All we need to do is actually a very powerful story. There was this currently famous writer, Andy Weir, who actually gave up on becoming a professional writer, and with his second novel, his first novel did not find a publisher or agent, and his second novel, he just started publishing it one chapter at a time on his own website, personal website, and a bunch of his friends read it, and somebody said that they would enjoy reading it on Kindle, so he published it on Kindle, and the number of people who read it on Kindle exceeded the number of people who read it on his website. So all of a sudden, a publishing company that was specializing in audiobooks contacted him and bought the rights, and then a regular paper publishing company bought the rights as well. And then Hollywood bought the rights to his novel, and all of a sudden it became a great movie called The Martian by Ridley Scott, starring Matt Damon as the main character. And the book itself became New York Times bestseller. And all of that happened without any initial financing for that book, simply because the book contained quite a number of plot twists and was well written, well researched. It was a masterful project. It's a decent book. I recommend it if you enjoy science fiction, if you like something well done. It's a good book to read. And I haven't seen the movie, to be honest, but I think it was successful, even though I think it won one of the Oscars for some kind of technical achievement, something like that. It made money. So yeah, Jonathan, I recommend this novel. It's kind of fun. I enjoyed it. I was one of the viral readers before the book became famous, I think. Because I am a nerd. I can totally understand how it became a bestseller. It's totally awesome. A lot of reviews as well. And now that writer, Andy Weir, is at his third novel. He won some science fiction awards. He's actually an excellent writer. I think he became full-time professional writer and quit his job as a software developer, which is what he was when the second novel was self-published. So anyway, the plot twist gives people a lot to talk about after they read our book, and the unpredictability is probably the most amazing thing that you can give to your book or movie. So plot twist is what achieves that.